think this new generation will be able to form the next government? And
You see, I hope so. Firstly, I pray for all the Lord Pashupatinath that there is peace there,
Oh,
and they
absolutely.
and they bring about change into their country, and it becomes it has such amount of capability to become a prosperous nation.
I want to talk about the civilizational links between Bharat and Nepal.
When our schools were there in Dehradun, I said in Dehradun, we have Nepalese students out there. There was no difference between he's coming from a foreign country. Some of the comedy also is like Indian comedy. They also have their kind of Kapil Sharmas and there's Adhikari there. The jokes are also similar.
Nepal government then took a decision when the Agniveer scheme came that they will not send their soldiers for Agniveers. How do you view the targeting not just of KP Sharma Oli, not just of the presidential palace, but several ministers, the IT minister, the home minister, I think 4 other ministers, the finance minister, दौड़ा दौड़ा के सड़क पर मार रहे थे.
So Gaurav, in a country which is as small as Nepal is, if you have 8 to 9 lakh young boys and girls leaving their country every year for outside pastures and all largely going as blue collar workers, I think there's a great loss to any nation.
There's one line which the Prime Minister said, which has always stayed with me. He said, Nepal has shed blood for every victory of India, every war that we fought. अपि स्वर्णमयी लंका न मे लक्ष्मण रोचते जननी जन्मभूमिश्च स्वर्गादपि गरियसी. This is how Valmiki's Ramayana talks about Maryada Purushottam Shri Ram telling brother Lakshman after the victory over Ravan in Lanka that while Lanka is made of gold and very beautiful, it's not to my liking, because for me, Janani Janmabhoomishcha, my mother and my motherland, Swargadapi Gariyasi, are greater than heaven. And this is today the national motto of the Himalayan paradise, Nepal. That shows the close civilizational bond between Bharat and Nepal. But this Himalayan paradise is in turmoil today. And to discuss more about the turmoil and the way forward, with me is someone who's very close to Nepal. Like India and Nepal are civilizationally one. Similarly, soldiers of the Indian Armed Forces and the Armed Forces of Nepal, they've shed blood together, they share the same bond. With me on this broadcast is Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma, former Adjutant General of the Indian Army, a Gurkha Rifles officer, Colonel of the 11 Gurkha Rifles,
Thank
and
you.
you commanded the Ladakh Corps. Sir, welcome on the Chakravyuh Podcast.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you for inviting me.
Sir, when we look at this turmoil in Nepal today, what goes through your heart? Because it gives a lot of pain to see a brother in such deep distress.
So I agree with you. It's so painful. It is so distressing to see the kind. And it is similarly, if you recollect, 15 years ago, they had the Maoist insurgency for 10 years. We were distressed at that time also to see the kind of pain and anguish that Nepalese people, which is like our own people. We never distinguish between the people of Nepal, Gurkhas, and people of India. And naturally now it is so we feel so bad about it. I wish our goodwill is always towards Nepalese people and Nepal as a country. And having been there umpteen number of times, every time you go, you feel the warmth and the love and the affection. Since we speak the language,
Yep.
we feel the love and affection of people. And of late, what has happened, I wish it not happened, and they would have found a better method of resolving issues.
Because when you see the Sheetal Nivas burning, or when you see Singh Darbar, or the parliament in flames, it just hurts. I mean, it just hurts to see the turmoil.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say that the students would have done this. The people are in love with their own country, and we see this here in the soldiers who have joined us, our armed forces. But the fact is that you see all these burnings which have been carried out, is it's not nice. It is national assets being lost out, and I wish it not happened this way.
Yes, and we'll talk about the crisis. We'll
Yeah,
talk about this serious crisis when it comes to confidence in their political leadership. The manner in which homes of several leaders,
yeah,
the president's palace, Sheetal Niwas, set on fire, presidential
yeah,
house set on fire. Homes of several prime ministers, not just KP Sharma Oli, but Sher Bahadur Deoba, several deputy prime ministers, finance minister, home minister, IT minister. Their homes were being set on fire. They were being former prime ministers were being assaulted.
yeah.
Their families were being assaulted. The anger is palpable.
So has it started one day? Is it anger just started 48 hours ago, or is there anger which was pent up for quite some time? It has just come up to the to that level today. And if you start seeing, and you, all of us who follow what's been happening in Nepal, I think there was a pent up emotion. It just required a trigger. It just required a kind of a catalyst to take it off, and then the government provided the catalyst, and then lo and behold, it was bad shape. So this was coming. Many of us who could read through. See, I give you a simple example. Look, Gaurav, in a country which is as small as Nepal is, if you have 8 to 9 lakh young boys and girls leaving their country every year for
Heartbreaking.
outside pastures, and all largely going as blue collar workers, I think there's a great loss to any nation. And it shows that there is a paucity, and the government is so very happy about it because they get money, they get remittances. So remittances become a big thing for Nepal government. And
That's their
so
biggest source of income.
biggest source
For
of
the
income.
country. But
So
8 to 9 lakh youngsters each year leaving
you
the country, 20% unemployment rate.
you see the roads in Kathmandu, and in Pokhara, in Dharan, you see the boards out there. They're teaching Japanese language, Korean language, the drawl of an Australian. It's all being taught there, and there are mushrooming schools of teaching this because you know the language. Lo and behold, you picked up in Japan and you work in Japan. In Indian, to get an time for a visa interview in many of these countries will take months altogether. In USA, it takes years altogether. But in Nepal, it is just no time because they look for, they're disciplined people. They are amenable to suggestions. They're amenable to learning the job,
And
then
very hardworking
and
youngsters.
extremely hardworking and disciplined people. So Nepalese is you can go to any second tier city in Europe, you'll find Nepalese running
Yes.
restaurants and kiosks and things like that.
And they contribute positively to their economy, whichever country
Yeah.
they go to.
But the other part of the story is that it's all right that they contribute to their economy. What about Nepal inside? How are you allowing the youth to be frittered away into this kind, because the country itself could not combine itself together to create the atmosphere where people would stay and work happily in their own country.
True. We'll talk about the current crisis and which direction it's headed, but for a moment, I want to talk about the civilizational links between Bharat and Nepal. Uh, we spoke of Maryada Purushottam Shri
Yeah.
Ram. The fact that he was from Ayodhya, but Mata Sita. Nepal takes great pride in saying that she was from Janakpur. Or
Yeah.
every year there is that Bharat that comes, Shri Ram ki Bharat, that link between Janakpur and Ayodhya.
Yeah.
Those civilizational bonds, you must have seen this so
Yeah.
often. Let's just come to the times of Mahabharat. Bhim
Yeah.
is seen as the guardian god of the
Yeah,
hills.
correct.
So isn't that amazing? And how is
So
that, sir?
It's a see, even recently, I mean, just give example. Somebody rang me up and said, and yeah, Rakesh, yaar, mere ko na ek saligram manga de. No, even today, this saligram that you get, you pray,
Yes, of
how
course.
homes our parents used to. Saligram comes from Gandaki River.
Absolutely.
Nowhere else in India, not even India. It has to come from Nepal.
If Maryada Purushottam Shri Ram's Ramlala's idol
Yeah.
is made of that saligram.
Correct.
Correct.
And the best of these Rudraksh, Rudraksh, one mukhi,
Yes.
panch mukhi, sat mukhi.
Yes.
The best of Rudraksh trees are in Nepal.
Yes.
We grow in India also, but we go there and we buy Rudraksh and you bring. So, cultural I mean, it is totally enmeshed together. People draw one single line between Pashupatinath and
And Somnath,
Somnath
and of course also
Rameshwaram.
and Rameshwaram and
Yeah,
Kedarnath.
correct. And
Correct.
you know, see, they, this is the हमारे पुरखों ने बनाया है. Our ancestors made this. So relationship, even when the Nepalese kings came and captured Indian territory, right up to Himachal Pradesh, you
Correct.
recollect,
Dehradun,
Dehradun,
Uttarakhand.
yeah, Uttarakhand was totally with them,
Huh.
and also Himachal Pradesh, and right up to Teesta River on the other side in Siliguri. You know, it is not that there were animosities out there.
Yes.
It is the British who came and Singoli Treaty. They said, okay, Nepal, move away, and those areas were taken by us. And there are large number of settlers of Nepali speaking. You see, we name Sushila Karki's name is coming up now,
Yes.
but Karkis are so many in Dehradun,
Yes.
and you know, in Dharamshala. So you know, see, the question is. Bista. Today there's somebody who's doing Bista. Bista is an Indian caste
Yeah.
also, and
Or
Bista.
Kshatriya, Kshatriyas, the
Yeah,
way they
same
say.
thing.
Because we
So-
used to have a Kshatri in my class
Yeah.
in school, and he used to say, "Hum Kshatriya hai."
Yeah.
And again, since as a Nepali boy in our school, I've studied in a Kendriya Vidyalaya.
Yeah.
So a lot of these soldiers,
So, you know,
children.
I think our relationship, actually, it cannot be said to in language. It is beyond it.
It's beyond language.
It is beyond language.
I mean, it's an emotion.
Yeah. You say Janakpur. You know, even today we say Janakpur. There are many people in India who say Sita was not born in Janakpur, or she was born in Sitamarhi in Bihar. But you know, people who have faith, we still believe Janakpur. You know,
Yes.
Janakpur, and I've been to Janakpur. So you know, you feel related to it.
Yes.
And of course, you leave the Ramayana alone. You can also go to Buddhism,
Yes.
Lumbini, and Gaya,
Yes.
and the relationship. And you know, lo and behold, anybody who has risen up a place, Sushila Karki, who studied in BHU,
Banaras,
BHU, Balen Shah has studied in South India, did
Correct.
MTech there.
Correct.
So, you know, the relationship, the bondage was so strong that, you know, when our schools were there in Dehradun, I studied in Dehradun, we have Nepalese students out there. There was no difference between he's coming from a foreign country.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. We accept the view that Nepal is a sovereign nation.
Of course.
It is a sovereign nation, and we respect Nepal as a sovereign country. But our relationship, you know, I don't know whether you follow it. Some of the comedy also is like Indian comedy. You know, they also have their kind of Kapil Sharmas, and you know, there's Adhikari there. The jokes are also similar. Some of them are same slapstick jokes. The dress, the way you wear, the mang bharna, the way they do Shraddh nowadays.
Yes.
You know, and this is the time to go to Pashupatinath,
Yes.
and you go behind and you see the pond there. On the steps, there are hundreds and hundreds of people doing Shraddh exactly as it's being done in, say, Gaya or in Haridwar and things like that. Where is the cultural separation? How can it happen?
But a lot of people tried to bring that cultural separation, which clearly cannot happen, because we are the same people. People of India and people of Nepal. Another link, 2014, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi had gone there to Nepal, I was reporting on that trip. So he said, "I've come from the land of Somnath to the land of Pashupatinath." But someone who covers defense and was born to a Fauji father, there's one line which the Prime Minister said, which has always stayed with me. He said, "Nepal has shed blood for every victory of India. Every war that we fought,
Correct.
Nepal has shed blood."
Correct. You see, not post-independence, even pre-independence, you know, the
Yes.
Victoria Crosses that the soldiers won, Ganju Lama, who won a Victoria Cross, and many other Gurkhas who won awards, you know, hats off to the kind of bravery they've shown. And the valor and bravery unmatched. Unmatched, the kind of strength they show. And, you know,
And
with
dedication.
us, the soldier lot, I mean, there is just no difference.
And when you were a young soldier in 11 Gurkhas.
I'm still young.
Of course you are. I meant a young lieutenant in the Gurkhas,
Okay.
and not a lieutenant general.
Okay, fine.
So, you had both soldiers from this side and that side, India and Nepal. Was there ever any distinction, same names? And I believe everyone's so similar that you go by belt numbers because everyone
Yeah.
has all virtually the same name.
Not the belt number police. We
Uh,
go by the army number.
Army number, the
So,
same army number.
and very interestingly, somebody whose number ends with 14, he's
Huh.
called Chauda.
Yeah.
But you know what happens if somebody ends with 00?
Huh.
So 00 आपको क्या बोलो? So he's called Pura.
Huh.
So his name is Pura. It is, and they don't mind it. He may be Bam Bahadur or Bal Bahadur or whatever, but he's called Pura. And because his army number ends with 00. These are traditions which have come through century and a half, 2 centuries. Yeah, you just cannot divest yourself from these traditions that we have developed between the Nepalese Gurkhas or Indian Gurkhas. Just the same. Many of these mixed regiments, you could have one Dogra Subda Major and another Subda Major from somebody else, mixed regiment. In our case, it is just the best man who becomes Subda Major, rises up to the thing. So, for relationship wise, there is no differentiation between, except that at one time they used to go for 4 month chutti.
Correct.
They used to get, they won't go chutti every year. They used to go and leave once in 2 years. So they get 4 months leave. So you come to know 4 months leave at Nepal domicile. And in our times, we come to know their families. We have been to their houses in Nepal where the roads didn't exist.
So you would trek all the way.
You trek all the way. You break bread with them. Stay at night in their houses and see the warmth in the tradition. Learn their dances. My good friend, God bless him, General Bipin Rawat,
Yes.
even as a general, and this is 4 days before he died, we had a function here in our unit here. He was doing Jhavare. Jhavare, you sit on your haunches. You sit on your haunches and dance, And Bipin was doing this Jhavare just 4 days before he died. The culture is enmeshed into us.
No, it's a beautiful culture.
Yeah.
I've traveled to Nepal several times for reporting and of course for leisure. A beautiful country, beautiful people. The Nepal government then took a decision when the Agniveer scheme came that they will not send their soldiers for Agniveers as Agniveers. Did that break that bond? Is that painful? And was, in your view, this a conscious effort to bring about a difference? Because the moment you're meshed, their soldiers come from Indian Army soldiers come from there, pensioners are there. So whatever pension goes every month in however many lakhs, it's positively impacting not just the pensioner but his entire family. Was this a conscious effort to break that bond?
So I don't know about any conscious effort, but personally speaking, we are Gurkha officers and we spend life 40 years in there, and after retirement also we involved. I don't think it was a good idea to take a break like this, like what happened with Agnipath. The rationale is immaterial, but the fact is, how many Gurkhas do we take in a year? We take about 2,000 Gurkhas in the Gurkha battalions in a year. Of the 2,000, say about 1,200, 1,500 would come from Nepal, and the rest were Indian domicile. As it is, we are running a ratio of 60:40. We were trying to achieve a ratio. Now, there was 1,500 people to be absorbed in India. Such a large country, not a difficult proposition. It is all right. The Nepalese government did not like the idea that after 4 years, people will get demobilized. People trained into warfare and firing and shooting, and they go back to Nepal after 4 years. Even if he takes 20 lakhs home, which is substantial money in Nepalese terms, but when he goes back home, he will be a trained soldier. So they used to replay the thought process of the Maoist insurgency and saying that, we will have problems again. I think that was exaggerating that period of the Maoist trouble that they have, and different reasons altogether. And the soldiers, ex-servicemen who were, very limited if ever got involved into the Maoist insurgency. So I think that logic was not right. But yes, it has caused upheaval in the Gurkha brigade, because what happens is now with the retirees coming in, we have to now relocate or relook for recruitment from elsewhere, because that Gurkha recruitment, the Nepal domicile Gurkha recruitment has not commenced as yet, and it's now 4 to 5 years. So naturally there would be voids in the units, and it has to be filled in by Indian troops here. So it would change the culture of a Gurkha. And the strength of these battalions were the Nepalese Gurkhas. They are
Yes.
actually rustic, strong, trustworthy, and not that Indians are not, but
Yes.
they were so much. They were larger numbers at one
Yes.
time. 80% were Nepalese Gurkhas. Only 20% used to hail from India. So now we do feel the pain and the pinch of not having Nepalese Gurkhas. And you're right to say about the two other issues that you raised. One is the pensioners. Okay.
Yes.
We come to a figure of 1,30,000 odd pensioners. You include their families and in large families, about 10 lakh odd people who are dependent. They are still being paid pensions by us, and we do great amount of effort to ensure that money is there.
Because I have also seen it
Yeah.
as a journalist, and I love the fact I'm a journalist. I was a total outsider when I went there,
Yeah.
and the amount of love I got from there. Because I was covering something like this, or because I come from an army background, they just open their homes and hearts to
Yeah.
you and stay in touch with you. Of course, all looking for that brighter future. Can India and should India also absorb more from Nepal in terms of when they're going overseas, or do they get better money overseas? That is why they would prefer a country like Japan or Australia or Europe compared to India. But what is it that we need to do as a country to again strengthen that bond, especially after this turmoil? Because each turmoil that you see, you wouldn't want Nepal to have any more distance,
Now,
emotionally.
Gaurav, there are many issues you have raised together. One is that though we have a relationship coming up with China, we can't talk about it now. But the fact is that we are sensitive to China,
Yes.
and
But here, sir, on Chakravyuh, you can talk about everything, sir.
okay, no, I personally I don't mince words at
Yes,
all
I know.
in this matter. I
And
speak
that's exactly why
I,
you're on
I
Chakravyuh,
speak my
sir.
mind always. So the fact is, the um, Chinese have made tremendous inroads there. Now,
Because
if
of their deeper pockets.
deep pockets, and they managed to establish themselves, and the politics was communist largely, so they had relationship with Oli and with Shrestha and with the others,
And Prachand also.
and
But
Prachand.
Prachand was closer to us.
Yeah,
because
okay, but finally he's a Maoist center,
Yes.
so a Maoist center is links are there. So the fact is that the Chinese are there deep pockets. At one time, from St. Paul's, Darjeeling to schools in Dehradun and Himachal, there used to be children studying here in mass
Yes.
coming from Nepal, and they were scholarships of various kinds. Gradually, those that numbers have dwindled. The student relationship. I'm not even relating ourselves to, we were discussing roti beti ka saath. People
Yes.
were married, royal families were marrying together, with the
Yes.
Gwalior royal family or Odisha royal family or Punch royal family. They were all married with the royal family in Nepal. But that apart, there was a relationship which went because of students having studied together. Over a period of time, there has been a little dwindling of the students who come here. That's why the Chinese open floodgates to any number of students who can come to study in China. Indians also go there, but then Nepalese, which are right across the border, would go more and more there. And as time passes, with the Chinese coming, being the railway, there is a talk about they're already working at Shigatse Kathmandu Railway, and the railway crosses the Himalayas wherever they cross it, Kodari or whatever, and that railway comes through, there will be better linkages across with China. So I think that student relationship.
We need to
Yeah.
develop
So
even
we had
further.
a chief, a chief from Nepal Army who
Yes.
studied in Lawrence School, Sanar.
Yes.
And there are many others who, in Mayo College, there are many others who were studying here
In
and
fact,
marrying
even
here.
the current army chief has
Yeah.
a very strong India connection, General Sigdel.
Yeah.
I mean, not only is every Nepal army chief and honorary general of the Indian Army, and the Indian Army general and honorary
Yeah.
general of the Nepal Army, but I think he's also done his higher command.
Yeah, so
in India.
most people have done some courses or the other in India, and we who have done courses with Nepalese are still in touch.
Yes.
From YOs to young officers
NDCs.
course to staff college to NDC to everything, we are in touch. So there is a relationship which goes across, and I think we need to little open up on these issues of educational institutions.
Because I was just reading, we have about 38,000 Nepalese students who are student scholarship beneficiaries,
Yeah.
but the number is very small.
Yeah.
It should be in lakhs. And
It should be, and they were. See, our center was in Darjeeling, so we used to go to St. Paul's. There used to be so many children studying there in St. Paul's, but it isn't so nowadays. The things have changed, and I think that change is not for the best, not for the better. We need to move towards opening up our institutions, also health institutions.
but again, something, when COVID-19 happened,
Yeah.
again, I was amongst those reporters who was reporting everything on ground in India. But the health ministry that time told me Nepal was amongst the first countries where India sent made in India COVID vaccine for the entire country to be immunized at that point of time. But
Yes.
is that bond not like a regular one? Should it be a regular one?
Look, often something happens that rankles in the minds of the Nepalese people. If you recollect, when the earthquake happened 2015,
15.
and we sent a major general, a
Yes.
strong serving major general, who went across, established himself there, did fantastic amount of work there, and our hospitals went, and but what happened is that they had a blockade that same year, later
Yes.
part of 2015, and they claim that there are three blockades that have happened in history. First one, I think, to 1989. Those issues have been hurting to the Nepalese people, and naturally the people suffered because of blockade. You can't get fuel across there, or food, grains, or many ways,
Medicines also.
medicines also. So there, that so it is there. We need to address it. I think over a period of last 3-4 years, there have been substantive steps taken, like making the pipeline,
That
the
oil pipeline,
oil
right? And
pipeline.
that saves many crores.
Yeah, and it bypasses a future blockade if it ever is to happen.
Yes.
So there is a pipeline supplying from Bihar, and goes from Bihar, and then the railway line which has come through.
Yes.
I hope it is connected further to Kathmandu in the nearest of time before the Chinese lands up here. We should
Absolutely.
connect it to Kathmandu and have railway line there. There is a railway line now they're talking about between Raxaul and connecting New Jalpaiguri that bypasses the Siliguri corridor. It goes through Nepal. Fantastic amount thought process being given there. We have allowed them, say, use of Mudra port,
And not just remains confined to
Hooghly or
yeah,
Vizag.
or
So,
Vizag.
we have also, and of course, power, very big thing. The Nepalese power is now, Nepal, if they take it this way, is the surrogate country for hydropower.
Yes.
And if it is fully exploited, so now it is being sold across through Indian grid to Bangladesh.
Yes.
There are very many positive steps taken there. We need to work. I think, I am always an advocate of unilateralism. You say that you do your bit here, we do our bit. We are a large nation here.
We
Let's-
do more than what is required for Nepal. So
yeah,
that, yeah.
because it is, if you don't do it, then the Chinese will do it. Yeah? Then we
Yes.
can't complain of the Chinese. But if we do more than what we need to do, well, I think our relationship is too strong. The people to people relationship is very strong, and it needs to be nurtured in that manner.
And especially with the Yuva Varg, with the youth.
Yeah.
I mean, this revolution that we see, the Gen Z revolution, I know some elders will be very angry with me in Nepal for using the word revolution, because they see this. I was speaking to somebody in Nepal who was telling me that this is the handiwork of outside forces to weaken Nepal. Blaming, they're saying, you guys in India are sleepwalking into trouble. Look at what's happening in Bangladesh, what has happened in Sri Lanka, and what is happening in Nepal. You guys are sleepwalking into trouble. I don't know. You tell me if we are. But they say that students have a very noble thought, but students are just the front. There are other forces at play. How do you see this?
Look, all this can be said, and the conspiracy theories are the first ones to be brought about. In case of Bangladesh, they had political troubles, and the agitation took place because of the problem that they had reservation. The Reservation Act. In Nepal, there was no reservation. Nepal, it came up for a different reason altogether. The students
But-
felt.
If I may,
Yeah.
just blocking 26 websites, social
Yeah.
media platforms will lead to a revolution.
So, unemployment is so rampant, and everybody is a YouTuber, and everybody. So, I mean, I'm ashamed, but I spend so much of time on my phone. Yeah. So the fact is the youth is only embedded to social media if they don't have better avenues to do so, and you just cannot one day morning decide. See, a Supreme Court ruling did come last year, which said that Supreme Court said that there needs to be a check on the malcontent which come across. India also have got,
Yes.
India also we follow this. You just can't put something there. You can call the YouTube people saying, why is this content there? So they do some checks themselves. So to ask the social media companies to make sure that no malcontent is put across there is one issue. But to ban them is another issue, because now social media was anti the current government and they were writing so much of people writing so much. You just cannot ban it on a decision taken in Supreme Court 1 year ago. So it cannot be done. It is the involvement, and I think Gen Z. You must be having Gen Z kids, yeah.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is that they are wedded to social media. It is
yes.
not. It is not an additionality. It is part of life.
And
You
in their case, it's also a way of being in touch with their family overseas.
Yeah, everything. It is nowadays. You block a phone. You can't even use UPI. You
Yeah.
can't get paid for a cab. Yeah,
Yeah.
So you just cannot do it. And
So was KP Sharma only being tone deaf, especially after his visit to China?
I don't know whether he's tone deaf or not, and I thought people should have understood the power of the student. Remember, we had Mandal in India.
Yes.
Power of the student. We were youngsters. We saw the kind of anguish that we saw in India. The student is a strong power.
Yeah.
They are impressionable by age. We are an aspirational country. India. Nepal is as much aspirational as people are there. You have a motorcycle, you want to buy a car. You have a car, you want to buy a better car. You have a small flat, you want to buy a bigger flat. Everybody is aspirational in nature. And it is logical. They say, yeah, look, I am entitled to same aspirations as the minister's son,
Correct.
who drives Range Rovers in Nepal, and flashy cars and music running around there, and I'm also entitled to. I'm also a citizen of the same country, and all this social media also puts across knowledge base which probably didn't exist there earlier. So I think the decision taken was a catalyst, but to say that is the only thing, it was pent up emotion that blew up in the face of the politicians.
You also mentioned this SUV. So there's this image that's going viral in Nepal, and somebody sent it to me. A minister's SUV going very fast. It hits a little child, and arrogantly the minister he just moves on, and the child is left on the road. That also angered the people.
So 11-year-old child, and all this, see, small thing adds up. The statement that the Prime Minister gave on this incident you're referring to was casual. Accidents happen. You can't say accident happen. Accidents happen every day. But a politician's convoy, which is going across and hits a child, and the child gets hurt badly, and the convoy doesn't stop to pick up the child and take him to hospital.
Even had they done that,
it would make
have been a
difference.
mitigating factor.
So you add all these things together, it was boiling. It was there pent up. They forgot to notice that there is an issue of anguish in the nation, and also a feeling of corruption is rampant.
And it's a musical chair. Same 4-5 people just turn around and become prime ministers and ministers.
God knows how the politics works. Until yesterday, Nepali Congress was supporting Maoist Center. Prachanda was prime minister. And then one fine morning, they say, okay, Prachanda, you no more. I will support Oli, and Oli becomes prime minister. This is not musical chair. This is, and 14 odd prime ministers in 10, 11 years, you can't even have a government to talk to. So that's why, as an institution, the political hierarchy was under stress. They should have been under stress to say one day people will get annoyed. If you add all these people going out, migrating, no educational institutions, etc., then there is a large amount of grievance that existed in Nepal.
KP Sharma Oli as Prime Minister. I know you're a soldier, and soldiers usually don't like commenting on politics, but since this is a very serious issue, KP Sharma Oli was seen as someone who was in Beijing, in Tianjin, walking that red carpet, and even when he came back, uh, he was not in touch with the ground reality, or was he misled by his people? How would you view it, and how do you view the targeting not just of KP Sharma Oli, not just of the presidential palace, but several ministers, the IT minister, the home minister, I think four other ministers, the finance minister, दौड़ा दौड़ा के सड़क पर मार रहे थे मंत्रियों को, और एक पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री, आई थिंक झालानाथ खनाल,
Yeah.
his wife has very serious
Passed
burn
away.
injuries, and I hope no
She-
I hope she survives. She's in ICU and very serious.
Is it? I thought she.
Initial
okay.
reports from
Yeah,
Nepal
okay.
said that she had, but just this morning there was a report,
Okay.
which I mean I hope she survives. But that just shows that, was this genuine anger, or is this targeted attacks on the political leadership cutting across party lines?
So the political leadership have not brought themselves into some kind of confidence with the people of Nepal, and one of the demands that the students are giving out is, you tell us what money did you have before you became a politician, and what do you have now, and how you have earned it. This is a demand which the students have put across, which says volumes about that the politicians have gone across for corruption in manner in which money has been raised, which is not accountable money. So the anger is against politicians as a community, and that as a community they haven't brought themselves into honor. So to say that Prime Minister Oli, yes, look, a number of delegations that came from the Communist Party of China, which keeps coming to Nepal, and vice versa, in relationship between the communist parties, and relationship that existed between the politicians here and the politicians across, is tremendous. That's why all these Confucius institutes and the China study centers and all these came up here. That's the influence that the Chinese had there. So KP Sharma only, but Nepali Congress did not have relationship with Chinese, and the Nepali Congress is the one which is supporting the government of Mr.
Was
Prachanda,
Prachand and now
and,
Oli.
and then now Oli. So finally all are similarly culprit. And see, if you recollect, I think 2 years ago there was a scam on refugees.
Yes.
Bhutan or some refugees were brought in, refugees or people being sold off as as working labor outside, and you make the same people who are accused and convicted as ministers in the cabinet, and naturally people will say, yaar, kal to isko convict kiya tha, aaj aapne usko minister bana diya. So they have not brought themselves into honor.
Though it was painful even to see Sher Bahadur Deoba,
Yeah.
and his family being targeted.
I
in the
know,
manner in which they were beaten
honorable
up.
man. That's why first day the agitation started, when he wise people said, yeah, this agitation is starting, this is students, the Nepali Congress must withdraw support from Oli's government. If he had withdrawn the support on day one of the Oli government and let the government fall down, maybe the people would have said, yeah, look, there's wisdom out here, let's wait and see what happens there.
But while every institution has been targeted, including the judiciary, sadly, Supreme Court files being burned, district courts being targeted, the army enjoys a lot of respect in Nepal. Your reading of the manner in which General Sigdel is handling the situation?
So fantastic work here. I think we have great relationship with Royal Normal Royal Nepal Army, and we do training with them. They are very good friends we have with them.
That training happens even now?
Yeah, even now. And they are very good soldiers, fantastic soldiers. They are more devoted. Even their formations, we've been to their formations, So to say Nepal Army is one institution that stands out solid, it is an institution that stands solid, and it will, and that's the confidence that we have for future, Nepal Army. But Nepal Army is not Pakistan Army, and it's not Bangladesh Army. It is a political army. It's like our army. We are absolutely apolitical. So Nepal Army, they not have delved into politics. So to say Nepal Army to handle politics like what Bangladesh Army has been doing, or like what Pakistan Army is totally political here. So that is not there. That's not the culture of Nepal Army.
So you
Nepal,
think this new generation will be able to form the next government? And
you see, I hope so. Firstly, I pray for all the Lord Pashupatinath that there is peace there,
oh,
and they
absolutely.
and they bring about change into their country, and it becomes it has such amount of capability to become a prosperous nation. But having said that, there are many issues. There are many issues. One is that, recollect this year, the monarchy was also trying to fan away troubles here. The last monarch, and 3-4 months they were not much following, but there were agitations there, March to May or something like that. And yesterday's meeting which the chief had, the chief delegation had with the students, they were somebody who was speaking, no, monarchy should come back. So there are issues out here which are substantive.
But a democracy is always a great idea. A
Republican.
genuine people's democracy.
Yeah, so they are a republic now.
Yeah.
Republic came up with so much of pain after the Maoist trouble that, to say to go back into that era is not nice. So, that issue there. Then, there are issues, constitution. Now
These youngsters don't like this
yeah,
constitution.
they don't like it.
But which means ultimately, I mean, I'm sorry to say, but was India right in saying you must have a constitution that gives equal rights to all?
India's issues around constitution were different in nature, but these people have feeling. In fact, last year, if I recollect correctly, there was a meeting among the political parties to say what should we do with the constitution. And so there is a discussion on internally in Nepal that there are follies in the constitution, and the constitution came up with so much of pain.
Yes.
2006, and it started and came up in through 2015. It had 2-3 constituent assemblies were brought about. So it was a very difficult constitution to be made, but the constitution has follies. Now, can the constitution, then the parliament be dissolved? It's not easy. There are Article 273, some article something. It's not a simple proposition to say constitution hata do. हटाई नहीं जा सकती. It's not so simple. For the president also, it's not so simple. So, the constitution has tied itself into some kind of knots. So, that immediately can't be done and should not be done also.
So, what, according to you, should be the path that Nepal adopts? These youngsters, the army, because apparently the anger with the existing leadership is tremendous. They don't want any of this old leadership back in power.
So some good names have been thrown up. See, we went to Nepal recently, 6 months, 8 months ago. And even then, people said, yeah, look at the work done by Balen Shah. Now, Balen is a politician. He just became a mayor in 22.
Yes.
He's just 3 years old.
Yes.
But he turned the city. He's turned the Kathmandu city. He has been so harsh. The kiosks been removed, clean. We have been to Kathmandu so many times that we saw a substantive change in Kathmandu this time we went.
Oh, how nice.
And Balen Shah brought it. And he was strong, ham-handed. And he brought a change, and the change was, and he's young.
He's just 35.
90 born.
Okay, 90. Correct.
So he's young, and he has a future. So Balen Shah, Mrs. Karki is from Purba.
Yeah.
She's in Purba, she's from East. She's from Dharan, Viratnagar.
Isn't that where your regiment
my regiment is
had more of its soldiers?
Yeah, our soldiers come from that area, Rai Limbus. So, Mrs. Karki is from East, and she has been strong against corruption, very strong against corruption. So, people remember her that she came up
and she took some very strong decisions also.
Very strong decisions. And, she was, so maybe Mrs. Karki's interim government, because Balen Shah now has said that he is not keen on forming the government, and he's saying, I support Mrs. Sushila Karki. So Sushila Karki becomes, she was Chief Justice of and Supreme Court, and she's well aware. See, to agitate is one part. To govern is another part altogether.
Absolutely.
To govern is not easy. You have to run so many institutions, from economics to foreign policy, etc.
And rebuild. I mean, even courts, district courts burnt, high courts, Supreme Court burnt.
First,
whether
bring
those
peace.
Documents remain.
First, bring peace into the country.
Yes.
First, bring an assurance that आगे ठीक होगा. Things will be better in future. That assurance to the people of Nepal that we will bring about a change, which I think the interim boss of Bangladesh couldn't bring about that confidence.
But Bangladesh was taken over by radical
Yeah.
Islamists, and students were a facade. In this case, in Nepal, it is a students' movement. Even
Yeah.
though, I mean, I was very scared looking at little children in school uniform in their school bags
Yeah.
and water bottles at the protests. I mean, I wouldn't want children in or teenagers in
Yeah.
protests.
So somebody said there were children in uniform who have been shot at,
Oh
which
my
is a
God.
which is very awful to say. But yes, in a matter of in matters of agitation, students, there is very difficult to control them. So it is very essential for to go back. But you see, yesterday the same students were out on the streets cleaning up the roads,
Yes.
picking up water bottles, picking up all the trash and taking it away. So there is a change which they are trying to bring about
Because
here.
it's their country. They
Yeah.
have to now mend it.
And it's because they know Kathmandu as a city has been brought to a level of cleanliness in the course of last 2-3 years.
Yes.
So they would not like to see the area so underdeveloped.
And if tourism is destroyed, then it will be
Yeah.
very damaging for all of Nepal.
So I am personally hopeful that they would form an interim government in next few days, because the army is not made, or army is not tailored or not thinking on that political lines. They are not that kind. They are devoted soldiers, a very competent army, and let them find the interim solution between the agitating. See, the students have not thrown away. People say there is a Hami Nepal or no those. Most of these are NGOs which get linked to foreign issues.
Donors.
Donors. And there are people who have worked for in the supporting her.
Would some of these foreign donors be suspect? Would their intentions be suspect? Would they want to have engineered a regime change, or is it too premature
I
to say?
I think today at least. I mean, I can't say about next 10 days. Today, I think I would deem it's an internal matter.
It's an internal matter.
Yeah, I will. Of course, time will prove it. You can't see anything, but today I feel that it is not an issue which has been fanned from outside in a big way. It
Sri
is
Lanka and Nepal, you see a similarity, not
Yeah.
Bangladesh, and I'm specifically not mentioning Bangladesh right now, but Sri
Yeah.
Lanka and Nepal.
So, see, Sri Lanka, okay, again, the politician, the anger was against the politician. Then the anger was because of inflation and unemployment and similar. The student power, is not understanding student power. In fact, in China, there's an article which I read on saying that we have to learn from the power of the students and make sure that we assure ourselves nothing goes wrong. So the anxiety is coming even in China, because China is a one-party government itself. So I would say that, okay, we tend to draw similarities. People saw color revolutions here and all these things. I don't think, personally speaking, I'm not a fan of color revolutions. I would say that each one of these countries has to be studied independently for independent reasons, and not say that there is a chain reaction of a kind happening.
Would you see this as a template being used by some foreign forces? For example, what happened in Ukraine, what happened in Egypt, that so-called Jasmine Revolution and all
Orange
the-
Revolution, Rose Revolution, all
correct.
these, yeah.
Or then what happened with
Or the
is
Maidan Revolution.
the Maidan in Euromaidan in Ukraine, then Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, now Nepal.
So I think it is, personally speaking, it's an aspirational of people, of the youth. If the countries are 25, we are an average 27 years old country. If the youth is not finding avenues for future, and the larger percentage of the country is youth, then there is a problem which is incipient, and it can come up at to fore anytime.
Is there a message for Bharat in this? Is the writing on the wall, as some are trying to argue, and that's politics internally in our country, that something like this could happen in India?
So I don't think so. Firstly, I hope not.
Yes.
And I don't think so. See, India has developed itself into a society which has moved in last so many years. We have been moving. We are not a stagnant society which has been founded and bedded in. So there is the movement that people see, and it is tremendous. In last 10 years itself, we've seen so much of movement. People, it is simple to say and give an example कि वो सब्जी वाला के पास भी QR code है. It's simple thing. Even Dhobi comes, even comes a QR code. It's the movement of the nation. People feel कि हमारी country stagnant नहीं है, चल रही है, move,
So
we are
when you're on
moving.
the path of progress,
Yeah.
you will not become a writer, or you would not
Yeah.
write for change.
Yeah.
If you're progressing,
I-
if you're gainfully
Yeah.
employed.
And then, of course, in all these matters, you have to be in top of affairs. You can't allow. See, whatever you might say, George Soros or National Endowment of Democracy, they haven't actually covered themselves with glory across the world. They have been fanning troubles wherever they could fan troubles for whatever reasons, largely political. So, if you allow some cleavages to develop, then these people who are waiting on the wings will fan the trouble, including our adversaries. So, we have to be on top of the events. We know that India is, and Prime Minister himself has said number of times, we are an aspirational society. We have to think of the aspirational people. A person who is behind a camera today, tomorrow wants to own a studio where he employs people to run a YouTube channel himself.
True.
Why should he sit behind a camera throughout his life?
So all my colleagues who are behind the camera today, please make sure tomorrow when you have your own studio and run your own channels, do hire me. So and bring the general back for a discussion.
So it is normal aspiration. Yeah? He says, yeah, why should I stay into this sector? I want to shift across closer there. These are normal, and we are a very greatly aspirational society. Tier 2 towns, tier 3 towns, we have to cater for their aspirations. And I think we have moved as a society and we've seen development coming from 90s onward. It's not that it's just one day.
True.
We have seen, we didn't know what a computer was yet. Today, nobody, everybody's on a computer,
Now
and
we have
etc.
all the computers on a mobile
A
phone.
mobile phone.
So-
So moved. There is so much of movement that there's a feel यानी नहीं हो रहा है कुछ that way.
Sir, when it comes to Nepal, and I want to come back to Nepal for a moment and talk about what's their future in terms of, yes, there is a China and there is an India and there is a United States and there is a great game that the people talk about. How does Nepal continue to flourish, come out of this turmoil and become that Himalayan paradise that we all love?
So first is that we must be understanding that China's deep pockets. It's in all countries across South Asia. It is trying its own efforts to combine these countries together in some form or the other outside India. So the meetings have taken place in Chengdu or in the reserves that they've created in Chongqing or things like that. They are getting to be with them. We and India have to be cognizant of the fact that we have cultural relationship. It is our neighborhood here. They are all our friends. We can't be a big brother to them. No. They are friends. They're all sovereign nations. We have to learn to respect them. And we know that we don't have deep pockets, but we know what they actually people require. So we have to reach out to those issues which people recognize. Indians have accepted that it is their requirement and they helped out. So we have to study each society differently.
Sir, there's one country I haven't mentioned, but it would be unfair if I don't talk about the threat that's posed by that country to exploit the open borders between India and Nepal, and that is that state sponsor of radical Islamist terror, Pakistan. Pakistan has repeatedly, as you know better than I, tried to exploit Nepal, especially the border belt, for terror in India. How does one ensure, as Nepal rebuilds itself or tries to, this situation is not exploited by Pakistan?
Got a difficult question. The fact is that we are geopolitically rising and we have aspiration of 2047. Any country which is not fond of India will find whichever avenue they can use it to retard our growth. So when you talk about Pakistan, by its own side, it was the growth of their GDP was much larger 40 years ago than India. But now they are nowhere and they are not growing. The only thing is that they know India and they would try and find where there is efforts in which our cohesion can be challenged, or our fault lines can be addressed, or some, and any way that they can do so, they will do so. So, first accept it that there is an adversary which is fixated as anti-Indian. I might be told that you are exaggerating issues about Pakistan, but I am not exaggerating. It is there. It's the way the country is. It binds that country. What binds that country is anti-Indianism. Whether it is Nepal, or whether doing it in Bangladesh, or doing it anywhere else, Pakistan will quietly and surreptitiously work to undermine the growth of India. It's a challenge that they have, and it's a challenge that we have. So we not to be careful on this one. Whether the growth of radical Islam, I think the Nepalese government comes up there. There is radicalization even in India,
Yeah.
and we know about what happens in many parts of India. So we are working on counter radicalization, anti-radicalization. We need to work with the stable Nepalese government to say, yeah, okay, there is an issue, especially if there is radicalization which is seemingly coming up in Tarai regions,
Yeah.
in the Madhes. And if they are in the Madhes, then we need to be cautious of the fact. If the Chinese are building up major infrastructure or some industry across in the Madhes, it should be anxiety to us. If they want to bring a road down to Lumbini,
Yeah.
in the base, it is anxiety to us. So, we have to be on top of a situation. To say we may have the best of relationship, but in matters of national security, you just cannot take a chance. You have to be on top of the affairs.
Oh, absolutely.
And otherwise, someday somebody will. We thought there were best of relationship coming up with China till 2020.
Yeah.
We were so many meetings and so many things. When 2020 did happen, yeah,
It did.
it came out of the blue.
But
No-
at least it opened our eyes to the ground
Yeah, thank you.
realities.
Thank you. We must thank them to
To-
realities.
And frankly, I am confident because so there was this police officer friend of ours who had once told us how Nepal had foiled an anti-India plot of these Pakistanis in Nepal and alerted India about it. But that's the kind of, we need to get back to our civilizational roots, India
Yeah.
and Nepal. Get that bond back. The moment that's back, they will not let that land be exploited against India.
Yeah. So, you mentioned some time ago, yeah, finally to make the Ram Lala,
Yeah.
the
Shaligram comes.
Shaligram comes from Nepal, yeah.
Yep.
And there is no thought, and in fact, many of us who studying है कहाँ से बनाएंगे वो मूर्ति कहाँ से बनेगी, and then often यार when Shaligram came, yeah, rightly यार we should have understood ये यहीं से आ सकता है और कहाँ से आएगा. So the thought is that it is part and parcel of our civilized structure. To add a point ahead of it, that this is a bondage which you can't delink it.
Yes.
But there is something more required. The nation needs to develop. People need to develop. We have to take our neighbors. So that's where I say unilateralism. You can't say there is no reciprocity coming from Nepal. They are not responding. Reciprocity may not come. We might have to do unilateral. We are a very large country. We can absorb anything that is produced in Nepal in our country. Ghee hai, tel hai, दूध है. हमारी country में तो anything which comes, it can be absorbed, yeah. Even if it is cheaper there, it won't matter to our industry. So we have to open our
homes and our hearts once
said-
again.
You said
I
it.
will let that be the last word on this part of the show on Chakravyuh, because right now we are in midst of that vortex. We are in midst of that Chakravyuh, and it's only Arjun that can come out of the Chakravyuh. That thought, again, it's something that really inspires me. The national motto of Nepal, Janani, Janmabhoomishcha, Swargadapi, Gariyasi. And I want to end with that. After defeating Ravan, Lakshman tells Bhaiya Ram, Lanka is so beautiful. It has so many resources. It's outstanding. Let's stay here for a while. Let's rest a while, and then we'll get back to Ayodhya. But Lord Ram, he says, I know it's very beautiful, but I don't like it. For me, my mother and my motherland are greater than heaven. And that's exactly what we need to do. Whether in Nepal or in India, this is our civilizational bond, our mother and our motherland are greater than heaven. Many thanks for watching.